Mistakes were made.
Hi, I'm Mike. This is Jess, and welcome to Goodwin's Farm 207.
Today we're going to be doing some water glassing for our eggs. It's an old-fashioned way of preserving your eggs through the winter. Make sure you stick around. I'm going to walk you through the entire process that I use. So a lot of informative stuff that hopefully you'll find useful.
Stick around.
Hey, welcome to Goodwin's Farm 207. This is Jess, and we are in the kitchen today. I'm going to be showing you how we water glass our eggs. I'm not saying that you have to do this, but this is a method that we found was really helpful in preserving our eggs through the winter. I've done this a few times. Last year, we actually kind of got caught towards the end of the year, and all of our birds decided to molt right before we were getting ready to save all our eggs. So this year, we figured we'd start early, and the way I do this is, most of you know I sell my eggs, and when we get down towards the end of the summer, when it's getting to like the last month or two where they're really going to be laying well, I'll actually stop selling eggs and I will collect at least a month or two's worth of eggs. And this year chicken math really caught up to us, so we have a plethora of an abundance of eggs, which we're really excited about. These will make good use over the winter, and this is how we preserve them to keep them fresh all winter long. All right, so the first thing you're going to want to do is you start with unwashed farm fresh eggs. You cannot use store-bought eggs for this. You also cannot use eggs that have been washed or refrigerated. So they do need to be unwashed eggs because they have to have the bloom fully intact in order for this to work. I typically will separate the ones that my hens did a really good job laying clean, which they're usually pretty clean because we try to keep the nesting boxes really clean. And so we'll collect those. And then you'll also want a large jar. I have this large pickle jar. You can also use, I have some large canning jars. And you'll need pickling lime as well. You can order this online. You can pick it up in the canning section of most stores. You'll also want a food scale so you can measure out your ounces. The recipe is 1 ounce weighted lime to 1 quart of water. So I'm going to be making the mixture. Some people like to do the mixture first and then add the eggs. Some people add the eggs and then add the mixture over it. I've done it both ways. It works pretty well. The one thing you just want to do is make sure you have the right ratio of 1 ounce of pickling lime to 1 quart of water. So we'll get into it. I have my pickle jar and I have 8 cups of water, which is 2 quarts. So I'm going to want 2 ounces of pickling lime. So I'm going to want 2 ounces of pickling lime. You do want to measure this by weight because that is the recipe, and you do want the right ratio or they're not going to last. And we're at 2 ounces. And then we're going to mix that into the water. You can mix it, but it is going to mix itself too. One of the things that you're going to see after your eggs have been sitting for a couple days, which don't be alarmed, I was the first couple times it worked, is the lime kind of settles to the bottom and you're like, oh man, do I need to shake it back up? You don't. It will be perfectly fine. It's already sealed off all of the pores and stuff that it needs to. Have that. And the way I'm going to do this, I'm actually going to put my eggs in here. Whether this helps, I don't know, but I was always taught you have the big end sticking up as much as you can. I don't know if that really matters. I've done it different ways because you can't always just put it in there that way. But we're essentially just going to fill the jar with as many eggs as we can. Trying not to break them. If you've done water glassing before, feel free to hit the comments below. Let us know how your experience went, how long your eggs lasted for. I've heard some people have actually had eggs that'll last water glassed up to 2 years. I've never gone over the 1 year mark, But I was pretty amazed how long they would last in this type of solution and how well they do. Now, some people say, well, how do you use them? Once you have them in storage, then all you need to do when you go to use them is take them out, rinse them off, and use them how you would any other egg. The one thing that you can't do or shouldn't do is try to hard boil them, because leaving them in the lime solution will soften the shells a little bit, and they're probably not going to withstand being hard boiled. My little bantam eggs there. There, and once you have your jar is filled with your eggs, I'm just going to dump the water in there and make sure the water completely covers all of the eggs. In fact, I'm probably going to take out some of these big ones here, just make sure it's completely covered. I'm just going to make sure all that lime solution gets poured in with it. And I'm just going to put the cover on. And then I'm going to wipe up the mess I made on the side of the jars, because I can be messy. And then I just label it with the number of eggs and the date, when I remembered to count the eggs, which I didn't this time. So I will put the date. And that lets me know, you want to put the month and the year so that you know when it's been a year, and just in case you forget about it in your pantry. And then I store it in a cooler, darker place, just to avoid anything else. And that's really the recipe. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these in mason jars. You're welcome to follow along, and blah, 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 blah. Well, thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this helpful. Again, as I had mentioned earlier, the lime will settle as you store these. Don't worry about that. That's completely normal. It will still keep your eggs fresh. Again, we're not telling you have to preserve your eggs this way. This is just one way that we found helpful. Always do your homework, do your research, consult your professionals that you trust. But this is, again, it's an old-fashioned way of preserving eggs through the winter without the use of refrigeration, modern refrigeration and things like that. Just make sure if you do give this a try, when you take your eggs out to use them, you wash them really well. Don't hard boil them, but you can still use them for cooking, for, breakfast foods, anything like that. These are pretty much enough eggs to get us through the winter, because usually we use it just for baking and things like that, because we're pretty egged out by the end of the summer.
Yeah.
And as it is, I usually freeze a bunch of quiche and egg bites and stuff for quick, easy things to go. So hopefully you found this helpful. If you did, feel free to comment below. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below, email us. We love getting notifications, and thank you for watching.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.